The Tom London Show is brought to you by Suzuki Rivonia, the home of happy customers.
The Tom London Show.
Yeah, but it's a Thursday afternoon in the City of Gold. 3 p.m. live on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Could we have one more, Elvis?
Thank you very much.
And if you're joining us on YouTube, thanks for pressing the play button. This is an interactive show. It goes out live, so you can ask questions, you can make comments. We'll read them out on the show. If you go to Facebook, and if you're on Facebook watching the show, you'll see a whole bunch of people in the comment section called Tom's Army. They are I've recruited them. They are the Tom's Army corporals and lieutenants and sergeants, and they're there to amplify the message. So if you're joining us on Facebook, say hello to the people in the room, because people chat with each other. You might make a new friend. Good afternoon to Tom's Army. Good afternoon to you, wherever you are in the world. Today, we are talking about foundation phase maths learning. And I've got two reasons that I want to mention this on the show. The one is, in South Africa at the moment, and worldwide really, there's a greater importance being put on foundation phase literacy and numeracy skills in the world, because it seems, we'll ask the experts in a moment, but it seems as if when the kids get it right in the early years, it's a good predictor of how they're going to do when the math gets harder and harder as they progress through schooling. And as we know in South Africa, a lot of attention needs to be paid to this. But don't think it's unique to South Africa. I think this is a global thing where emphasis is being placed on foundation phase learning. I don't know about you, but I was horrid at maths at school. And this is where I think, and the second reason I'm wanting to discuss this today is because my sister-in-law, Stacey Holmes, has for years been developing and in South Africa pioneering a groundbreaking foundation phase maths learning program for 4 to 7-year-olds. And this is the answer to many parents' prayers. Many parents who want their children to be successful, who want their children to do well in maths, who want their children to develop logical thinking. Parents are becoming more and more conscious of this. And I want to show off what my sister-in-law does, because she truly is one of the world experts in this. And she's developed a program called Montimaths, which really, really helps youngsters from the age of 4 to about 7 develop their maths and numeracy skills. So we'll be chatting to Stacey in just a moment. She pioneered Montimaths in South Africa and taught children for years and years and changed lives along the way. But she has taken Montimaths to the United Arab Emirates, and she's just put her first classroom up in Abu Dhabi at Gracia Farms. So she's taking the product internationally. And I thought, hey, let's show off a South African homegrown product this afternoon. We'll chat to Stacey in just a moment. Before we do, let's get to the comments, because it's customary on the show to say hello. Who's first up today? Alistair Jameson says, hello there, dysfunctionals. Helen Mittwach is on board and says, hello, everybody. 2 people have pressed the heart button already. Those are the friends we love. Good afternoon, Tom's Army, says Heather Knickelbein. Marlene Falkenberg is on board. Rosie Matheson Brown sends a rose and says hello. Barbara Ann Glaus says, hi, Tom's Army. Barbara Ann. Margaret Guider says, hello, all you special people. Una Guider is on board. What do we got? Great to be with you all, says Sally Tarr. Rosemary Endicott is on board. Karen Atwell is on board. I love maths, says Karen. I think she's the only person who's going to say that in the room today, unless we can find another maths lover. But traditionally, maths has been one of those subjects where people go, I know what? You seriously like chicken a la king? Who, me? I never mentioned chicken a la king. I don't know if you're talking about me, Una. And Emily Hudson says, hello, beautiful friends on Tom's Army. Enjoy the show today. Hi, Stacey. Welcome. Okay, so you're ready. We'll talk about, and maybe you can talk about your math stories. What's, when we dip back into your past and we take a look at your education and we take a look at how you did at maths or what you found to be helpful, I'd like those stories in the comments section. If you've got any comments or questions for Stacey, then pop them in the comments section as we run through the chat today. So in just a moment, crossing over to Abu Dhabi in the UAE to Stacey Holmes, the founder and owner of Montimaths, We will be chatting with her in just a moment. This is a great show, by the way, if you're a grandmother or a parent and you've got young children and they're struggling with maths. You might want to pass this on or tag people in the comment section so they can take a look at it as well. All right, you ready for that? Stacey Holmes in just a moment with Montimaths. Have you been waiting for the right time to buy the Suzuki Jimny 5-door? Well, I'm here to tell you that the time is now. Because if you buy a Suzuki Jimny 5-door GLX Auto, we'll give you 70,000 Rand. Use it as a discount. Use it for accessories. Or put 70,000 Rand cash in your pocket. You've wanted one, and now is the time to buy one. Buy your Suzuki Jimny 5-door GLX Auto now and get 70,000 bucks back. What are you waiting for? WhatsApp me on the number on screen now and let's get you driving in style with a smile. Only at Suzuki Rivonia, your home of happy customers.
Kids begging for more math? It happens every day at Montimaths, the fun and engaging maths program designed for children in their foundation phase.
Yes, I got it! Woohoo! I'm a math genius! Yeah!
Future-proof your child's future today with individualized lessons at our Gracia Farm classroom. Book your free introductory lesson by WhatsApping us now. Montimaths. Put the fun back into maths.
All right, you ready for the discussion? Let's cross over to the UAE, to Abu Dhabi, which is not blisteringly hot today, I believe. It's been a relatively cool week. Hello, Stace.
Hi, Tom.
How's it? How you doing? Is it hot? I suppose it's a silly question to say, is it hot in Abu Dhabi today?
Actually, it's quite mild compared to what we usually have.
That's
about
good.
21 degrees.
Oh, well, that's the kind of temperatures in Abu Dhabi where you put the long sleeve tops on and take a beanie and don't go out without your North Face clothing or something. I'm so excited about chatting to you today about Montimaths because I think, just based on personal experience, the quality of the tuition that a child receives early on in life when it comes to maths is going to set them up for the rest of it. And I look back at my own story and how I struggled for maths. And it was, it was one of those situations where my mom and my dad and my granny and my grandpa, they'd say, oh, don't worry, boy, if you don't do well at maths, you're not mathematically minded. And I went through most of my schooling believing that my brain couldn't do maths, and everybody endorsed it. Everybody said, yeah, he's very clever with words, but he's very dumb when it comes to numbers. And I believed that as well. And then I left public schools in grade 10 with a very bad maths result and landed up in a private school where the teacher said our first exam is in 5 days. And I really, when I say doing really bad, like 20% for maths. And the teacher, and I'll never forget his name was Mr. Mike Hall. And Mike said, you're going to come after school every day until 5 o'clock, and I'm going to catch you up all the maths you've missed. And I thought, that's impossible. How do you get a hook like me from 20% to more? And he did. He sat with me, and 5 days later, I wrote the exam, and I got my first 65% for maths. And that sparked something in my head. I said, oh, I can do this. Can all kids do maths, or can some kids just not do it?
That's an interesting question. I think children are born mathematicians. I'm a Montessori teacher, so I follow the philosophy of Montessori. And Maria Montessori herself said that children have a naturally mathematical mind. So if you think about a young child from very early on, they will do things like putting things in order or making comparisons. It's part of how they learn. And so obviously as we grow up, our interests diversify and, we led by perhaps the teacher that, like you say, the teacher that you enjoy their subject, you might excel in. But I do think that children do have a natural mathematical tendency from early on.
That's interesting. How big a part does it do parents play? Because I can imagine you got a 4 or 5-year-old or 6-year-old, they start in school, they're not good at math, and you go, oh my goodness, they take after me, and then you tell the child they're not good at it. I mean, I can imagine that parents get into a bit of a panic about this. What's your experience when you find parents coming to you for the first time?
I kind of think of it almost comparing a child or a parent that doesn't like, for instance, doesn't like to eat broccoli. So a parent that doesn't like to eat broccoli, their child might not like eating broccoli. The parent might not even ever cook a meal that has broccoli in it, so that they're not going to be exposed to that experience. But perhaps they go to a friend's house and they get served something with broccoli and they really enjoy it. So it's about exposing them to the right environment at the right time. And not every parent is comfortable with math because perhaps they had a bad experience when they were younger, or they had a really scary math teacher. It just seems to be one of those subjects where you can be put off it by the circumstance or whatever situation you're in. But if even as you said, you came back to the subject and you had the right person to help you overcome that barrier, then you could unlock that potential once more.
You mentioned earlier that kids seem to have a natural ability. I mean, they start counting before you even teach them how to count. Where do things go wrong? I mean, what happens that a parent comes to you and says, I've got a problem, please help?
Okay. I think when children do go to primary school, most of the classes are quite large, 30 plus children, we know.
Yeah.
And your teacher is having to teach to the middle of the class. So the child who does sort of average, have a sort of average ability will be the person that teacher is aiming towards. So any child that is not keeping up with the rest of the class, the average of the class, is going to get left behind. And math is one of those subjects where if you don't grasp a concept, you will get left behind because it builds on previous knowledge. And similarly, the child who already understands the concept, who's now bored with the practice or whatever the exercises the teacher's giving, they've already internalized that concept. They're going to be the child that is disruptive because they already know. So I think that's when parents come to me or have come to me in the past, it's been one of those two cases. Either my child is bored and needs more stimulation because they were previously doing the Montessori math with me, and now they're in a class where they already have that knowledge and they're bored, or alternatively, they've been left behind because they were below the average of the class.
Got it. Now, how do you tackle trying to teach a kid who has got no confidence maths? I mean, what do you start with?
Not only in math, but a child who doesn't have confidence in a subject, I think it's about creating an environment where they feel safe to make a mistake.
Yeah.
So very often we feel like making a mistake is a bad thing, and especially children, they're scared to try something in case it's wrong. So I think it's about creating an environment where they feel that they can explore possibilities, where they're not going to feel judged. And so a very nurturing type of approach is the type of environment that we create.
I've got a little picture here of your class, a part of the classroom, and very neutral colors. Very calm, neutral, no bright. What's the reason for that?
It's aesthetically, Montessori classrooms, we prefer a neutral environment because we don't want to, for the child to feel that there's too much sensorial input. The materials themselves are what draws the child, and that's the learning material itself, which is very beautiful and aesthetically pleasing. So the classroom itself shouldn't be distracting, and allow that environment, like I said, where the child feels safe. It needs to be beautiful. It needs to call to their souls.
Got it. Now, you are, as you said, a Montessori teacher, and you've spent many years teaching the Montessori methods. Why mix Montessori with maths?
Montessori actually covers 5 different areas. There's practical life, sensorial, culture, language, and mathematics. So mathematics is part of the Montessori curriculum. The reason why I've chosen to focus on the math curriculum is because this is where I found the greatest need, where children who have been in the Montessori classroom with me have left, gone to other schools, and then the parents have come back and said, please, can you continue with my child's math education? And for me, it's just, I was never good at math at school. Just let me put that out there.
Wow. Okay.
But when I discovered the Montessori, the way that math is taught with Montessori, it was something that I thought needed to be shared, because it's so beautiful, and it's so tactile, and it's so concrete that children are able to grasp concepts at an early stage that then see them through primary school, and then we almost we're almost preventing the problems from happening where children are needing extra math lessons, because we've already given them the broader understanding of maths in general.
When did you, as you were developing this program, when did the light bulb go off and you went, this is working? And what did you see?
So it kind of happened when I had my own school for 7 years, as you know, in Walterfreden Park. And when I would take parents around the class and show them the different learning areas, it was always when we got to the maths area, because the classroom is separated according to the different areas. When we got to the maths section, it would always be where parents would say, yeah, that makes so much sense. I really love these materials. And it would kind of be, I would always land up saying to them, if you bring your child to our school and it's the only reason you bring them is for the math, that's good enough for me.
You've done enough.
And
okay.
then they would usually sign up then and there.
And what do you see with the kids when they start? I mean, what do you observe as you teach?
So it's completely sequential. So you have little light bulb moments along the way as children grasp concepts. I think the best part for me was when I would teach a new exercise with a new concept, and the following morning the child would arrive and go straight, because they have freedom of choice to go to whichever area they want to. They would go straight back to that activity that we learned the day before and grab it and take it out. And to me, that signified, wow, they really grasped it. They want to practice it. They're excited about it. And it needs to be fun and engaging. And that's how they're going to learn. So if they willingly choose to go and do that the very next morning,
then you're onto something. Hey?
That's the most precious.
What are the skills that you teach these youngsters? We're talking about what, ages 4 to 7?
Yes.
How do you teach them? I mean, that's the mystery to me. I mean, how do you teach a kid maths?
That's an interesting question. It would be difficult for me to explain it in the amount of time that we have, I think, and without the materials in front of me, because I've got some standing by. So can I play something and put something on screen quickly? These are called number rods.
Number rods?
And what is a number rod?
Okay, so the number rod is it's a series of rods starting from 10 centimeters to 100 centimeters. And they are alternatively colored from red, with red and blue sections,
Yes.
representing the quantities 1 to 10. So what is unique about them is that the quantity is fixed. So we always teach the most concrete, and then we add the symbolic. We teach 1 is the very first rod, 2 would be the blue, the red and blue one, 3 would be the red, blue, and red one. So we're teaching the child how to count, but what's very important is that the quantity is fixed. So it's not as if they're seeing loose parts. If they were to see all the parts loose, they wouldn't conceptualize that quantity as a whole.
Okay, and this
And then
breaks
it
it
goes
down
from
visually
1
for
all the
them.
way to 10.
Yeah.
Visually, it works. Yes, they can see that 3 is 1 section longer than 2. So the concepts of more or less become ingrained without them realizing. And also those of the materials are very exact. So they're in increments of exactly 10 centimeters.
Yes.
So they get a sensorial impression of numbers or quantities before we introduce a symbolic representation of it.
Okay, now I've got some.
That's one example.
Okay, I got more. I got a couple of pictures here. I need you to tell me what they are. Like, here's some boxes. There are 2 boxes. One's marked 0 to 4. The other's marked 5 to 9. And then there are these some sticks that you put in them. Spindles.
Yes,
The spindle box. Okay, so what's the spindle box?
Okay, so the spindle box then would come after your number rods. And between your spindle box and your number rods, we would introduce the child to the symbol of the numbers, which would then would bridge with the actual number rods. So they would have to be able to associate the quantity and the symbol. Then with the spindle box, what you'll notice is that the quantities are loose.
Yes.
Compared with your number rod. So we're taking that thought process one step less concrete.
Yes.
We're leading them towards abstraction.
I can see
so
that.
So now we're
yeah.
having to count the quantity, and we start with 1. You'll notice that there's an extra compartment, but we just ignore this to start off with.
Okay.
We start with 1. And we then show the child how the loose quantities together form that quantity. So 1
Yes.
or 2 or 3 spindles, and we place them into their correct slots in the box. And when we get to 9 or 10, then we should have no spindles. Sorry, when we get to 9, there should be no spindles left.
Okay.
And then we would introduce them to the concept of 0. Because there's nothing in that
So
box.
0 comes after the numbers. You teach the concept of 0.
After. Yes. So.
Okay. What about fractions? Does it go on and on until you're doing fractions, or?
Absolutely, yes. Fractions is not all that scary when you're doing it with very concrete materials.
Sure.
And I like to teach fractions with a material that you won't have a picture of, but fraction circles. But
okay,
anything actually. I've brought pizza into school before to teach fractions. So,
that's clever.
It's
what are the beads that I've got here? I've got these beads in the box. Like some have more beads on the string. The colored beads, yeah.
So that would be your decanomial beads, or your. The beads are actually one of my favorite materials because you start off with the quantity 1 to 10, but it's on a much smaller individual scale. So your red bead represents 1, your two green beads represent 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're color coded.
Okay.
And those beads actually get used throughout the preschool and even into the primary school level, and they get used with different material or different combinations, and they get used to do things like teach multiplication, They can even be used to make different polygons. They work in they can be put together in a chain to do the square of a number or the cube of a number.
Wow.
But what's amazing about the whole system is the consistency of the material. And you can ask, why is that important that the material is consistent? And it's because the child develops a trust. They can look at the bead and they will know that quantity, the light blue bead represents the quantity of 5. And they don't have to count it. So they develop trust, they develop confidence in the material and in themselves as they incrementally use the materials and gain more knowledge to build on what they previously know, because they were already introduced to that material when they were 3 or 4, and now they're using it in a different way when they're 7 or 8.
How important is confidence?
It's very important. I think confidence, and also, like I've said before, feeling safe that you're able to experiment or make a mistake. In Montessori, we use an open math system, so there's more than one way to get to an answer. And children need to have that confidence in themselves to try something.
How young can a child be before they start grasping these concepts you're talking about?
So ideally, I would say around 4. Because prior to that, they're working on their pre-math concepts, which are just as important. And those are things like measuring, ordering, putting things into sequence. And those are all important skills. And those are the type of things that parents can also help their child at home if they're not of a school-going age. And that's just creating moments in a child's daily routine where they can practice those skills. For example, setting the table, laying the table. Because when you're laying a table, for dinner or something,
Counting out,
you might be counting out the cutlery. You're putting the plate in the middle. You're using those math terminology all the time. That fork is on the side of the plate, the spoon is at the top of the plate. And then also you're repeating that pattern. So if you're setting a table for 6, you're using so many mathematical concepts just by doing that. Baking is another good one as well.
So how do the programs or the lessons work? Do you have 30 kids in the class, or how many people do you teach at a time, and how long is a lesson, and how does that work?
Okay, so because we're based in Abu Dhabi, and I've just got my new classroom, the lessons that I'm conducting at the moment are individual. At a later stage, I might decide to group children, especially older ones, because they like to work together. But really, it's an individual 1-hour lesson that I'm doing with them right now, so that I can get to know exactly where they are. Children are so different. We rely on individual learning programs for each child. What stays the same, what's consistent is the material. So the environment is the consistency. But how they learn might be different for each child. So right now we're doing individual learning. So
parents that send their kids to Montimaths can rest assured that the kid's not going to get lost in a class of 20 people and just not learn. They're actually going to get your attention.
They're going to get individual attention, yes.
And you say the lessons are 1 hour in length. And then how many times a week does a kid have to come to Montimaths?
I would recommend 2 to 3 times a week for that consistency. But of course, if the parents want to bring them more than that, that would also be good. If a parent just wants to bring them to try it out, to see if this is the right fit for my child, that's also fine. Like I say, because it's my own baby, I can be flexible with it, and I can really cater to individual needs, which makes it special for me.
What are some of the success stories you've seen over the years? Were there any moments that warmed your heart, that you went, oh, wow, that you actually yourself went, oh, wow? Putting you on the spot, I know.
So I was actually talking to somebody today who came up to my environment, and it's not specifically about math, but it was, I had a little boy in my class, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw that he looked a little bit sad. This was years ago, and I went up to him and I asked him what was wrong. And he was working on something, and he wasn't happy with the result of what it was that he was doing. And I said, what's wrong? And he said, no, it's bad. I said, why is it bad? He said, yeah. And he said, because it's a mistake. And I said, do you think mistakes are good, or do you think mistakes are bad? And he said, no, mistakes are bad. And I said, you know what? I have to tell you something. Mistakes are good. And his face just changed. Like I said to him, if you make a mistake, it means that you've learned something. And we all make mistakes, and teacher Stacey makes mistakes all the time, which I'm quite happy to show my children, when I've made a mistake, and to say, oh, I made a mistake. But it was just in that particular moment that his little face changed. I'll never forget that, when he realized that making a mistake was not a bad thing. And he changed from that day. It was incredible. Like, his confidence just grew from there. Just that idea of, I've done something wrong, or I've done something bad.
Wow, help boost the confidence. Hey? I was thinking about the years that I've watched you teach, and I've been around your schools and your programs and seen what you do for many years now, and I was always amazed at these kids that weren't even in primary school yet, that would come into your classroom and read from a book or do arithmetic and division, and they're like 5 years old, and you only expect them to get that going when they're in grade 1 or 2 or 3 or something. And here these little oaks are that used to come to your school and for these lessons, they'd be like 5 years old, reading from books and adding and subtracting and dividing. And I used to go, this is magic, man. This is what kind of magic water have you got?
I still it still excites me every day as well when I see children that are capable. I think that we underestimate their abilities. They're smart. They just need the right environment. And when they're little, they don't know that it's something that they can't do, because no one's told them that they can't do it. So they'll try anything. And they will build on their own success. And we're in Montessori, we don't call ourselves teachers. We call ourselves directresses or guides, because our job is to direct or guide the child. It's not to teach them. They are natural learners. We are born natural learners, and we don't need someone to teach us. We just need someone to guide us and to provide the right opportunities and the right environment that will meet the needs and tendencies of the child.
So when a kid comes to you and they're in a wonderful environment and they've got teacher Stacey, who's just a lovely person and instills them with confidence, does that give them enough for when they go into primary school, or if they're already in primary school, does it give them enough from your environment that they can carry it over into the traditional environment, so to speak?
So I used to get asked that question a lot, because most of my kids would move on to traditional primary schools.
Yes.
And the question I got asked the most is, if I bring my child to Montessori, how will they then cope with a normal school environment?
Yes.
And I always say to parents, Montessori prepares the child for life. It doesn't prepare the child to go to grade R or grade 1. So many preschools will prepare the child to meet the requirements of can they stand on one leg and can they count to 30 and meet the requirements of grade 1. Montessori is about preparing the child for life. So it's giving them the skills, giving them the confidence, giving them the resilience and the opportunities to form themselves, because they're building their personalities. So what's so important is between the ages of 0 and 6 is when your personality is being formed.
Yes.
So yes, I do think that they would have an advantage going into the primary school. They would be more confident. They would.
I can just imagine they walk in and they're like, "Oh, I've got this. I've done this. I've got this." Got that kind of attitude.
It's also, we don't remember a lot from before we are 5 years old. So it's because we're still actually developing that part of our brain. So our memories are not completely formed by then. But they may go into primary school and they just seem to then, for instance, in the math, let's say they may grasp something like the decimal system a lot easier than the child sitting in the chair next to them, because they've used big numbers and big quantities, up to 9,999 in our school at least. So they're not afraid of big numbers, or they're not afraid of like challenging themselves, because they've done that already. And they may not remember how they got that confidence.
But it's wired into them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Hopefully it sees it through.
Now, I see you offer free introductory assessments, or first time you come along, you'll take a look.
I don't like to call it an assessment, because it's more of an informal get to know you.
Okay.
So when a child would come to me, I would maybe just sit with them. The parent can go and have a cup of coffee downstairs. There's a lovely coffee shop downstairs, and then just spend some time with them and just get an understanding of where they are in their mathematical journey. So I don't like the term assessment, because it always sounds like you're having to do some kind of a test.
Sure.
But definitely, and then teach them a couple of things and create a rapport with that child and see if we're a good fit, because children need to they need to resonate with you as a teacher, and vice versa, so that because you're building a very special relationship.
Yeah.
So it's basically get to know you and just see where you are.
Have you always been able to teach a kid maths? I mean, every kid that's come past, have you always been able to improve them?
It's not about what I'm able to do. It's more about what the environment and the materials are able to do. Yes, definitely. I think the materials themselves are so beautiful that they really just call to the nature of the child. And I have been able to take even children that were much older, whose parents have come to me and said, my child is not of preschool age. They're 8 or 9.
They missed out somewhere along the line.
They missed something out, and then it hasn't been I haven't kept them for weeks and weeks and weeks. We've just done a couple of exercises with their books that they've got from school, and then just bring in the Montessori materials to just clarify those concepts, and just for that light bulb moment to go, now I get it. And then that's been enough to help them to go further along. So, yeah, I think it can fill in some gaps, definitely.
Is there anything I've left out in this chat today? That's my best. It's my best question of the afternoon. What did I miss?
What did I miss? No, I think we've covered a lot. Yeah, I think we've covered a lot.
All right, cool.
Except that just to let you know that it's not only about the math. It's I have to be an advocate for Montessori.
Yes.
And It's not only the math. There's a lot more. There's a lot more to it as well. It's just an area that I found, having worked in schools overseas, I found that to be a great connecting point, because where children don't speak your language, or where they have different cultures, math seems to be a universal language, because numbers are numbers in every language. So I've always found it to be a very easy way to connect with children. And then from there, other learning has happened as well.
So if parents are watching this and saying, well, this looks good for me, I'm in Abu Dhabi, I'd like to bring my kid across, how do they get hold of you? There's a website, it's montimaths.com.
Yes, www.montimaths.com. And I have an Instagram page now. That's all very new for me, because I'm not of the Instagram age, but we're working on that.
Okay, so they can look for Montimaths on Instagram, look for Montimaths on Facebook, and www.montimaths.com. And then your contact details are there, I think, if people want to get hold of you.
The thing is, yes. And just one last thing, actually, is that the setting that we have is so beautiful that I didn't want to be in a shopping mall or any place like that, which most of the math tutoring places are. And most of the math tutoring places
look like classrooms in schools.
Older children, and they look much like classrooms. So we're actually we're at the Gracia farm, so we're on a working farm. We're upstairs, nestled in the trees. We've actually got a little tree house.
It's like a tree house classroom.
It is so, I walk up the stairs every day and I go, this is too good to be true. I can't believe this is where I work. And children have the same reaction. They arrive in there, they jump on the floor because it's a little bit springy, and then they rush to the materials, and they just feel that it's a very homely, a very beautiful atmosphere, and it's part of nature because we're up in the trees, and it's really, really stunning. So I'm very blessed.
So there you go. I mean, if you're in the Abu Dhabi area and you have a youngster, or you know of a youngster that needs foundation maths education, nobody does it better than Stacey Holmes and Montimaths. You can connect with them. I'll put the details up on screen now, or just go along to the website, www.montimaths.com. You can find Montimaths on Instagram and Facebook to get the latest news. Stacey, thank you. I think that's it for the day. Wow. Yes. I mean, we've spoken a million times in our lives, but never like this.
We have.
Here I am, the podcast host, and there you are, the guest.
Yes, finally.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tom.
No, thank you for joining me, and we'll be catching up with you along the way, I'm sure. Perhaps we can get a tour of the classroom one day on one of the shows you'll take us into, because now everyone will want to know what the treehouse classroom looks like.
With pleasure.
All right, thank you. And don't forget to wrap up warm in Abu Dhabi as those temperatures hit around 20 degrees. That's icy cold for you people. And speak to you soon. Thank you, Stacey.
Bye-bye.
That's Stacey Holmes, the founder of Montimaths, joining us live out of Abu Dhabi, where the latest Montimaths classroom has just opened at the Gracia Farms. And as I said, if you'd like to connect with Stacey, you can go along to montimaths.com and look for the details there. We're going to cut the show here today. I think that's it. We've had a fascinating conversation, and I hope you've enjoyed. By the way, if this is something that isn't for you, like you go, oh, well, I'm 60 years old and I haven't got children. Yeah, but maybe you've got grandchildren. Maybe you've got a friend who you know the kid needs some help on the math side. Just share this link with them. Share the video link with them, and you never know. Someone could be helped thanks to your share, for example. But that's it for today. I'll be back with you again on Tuesday. Lots of stuff happening next week. Tuesday next week, we will be... gee whiz, we got Leon Lowe talking about his book launch, his latest book that's coming out. I'm going to be filming the book launches. I'll be in Cape Town on Thursday. We'll do the Tom London show on Tuesday. I'll do a live video from Cape Town on Thursday. So lots happening next week. I ask you to come and join me and have some fun with me on the Tom London show. Until then, one more time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I'll catch you again on Tuesday at 3 p.m. for another Tom London show. Thanks for watching, and thanks for pressing the buttons. This show was brought to you by Suzuki Rivonia, the home of happy customers.